I think like everybody's reaction. It was like disbelief and a little bit of anger because I sat there and watched the game and 10 minutes into the game I could tell something wasn't right. I was screaming in the house and wanting Altidore to get taken off because it just didn't seem like they had the energy. They didn't have the fight to get a victory that day or to even just to get a result. And so I was disappointed in that. But still, they with the team they had out there, they still should at least got the tie and went on to the World Cup. Well, yeah, I mean, all the qualifying for the United States, it's through the CONCACAF region, and it's whether it's the Caribbean or it's Central America, Mexico, it's just not easy going down there and playing. I've got stories where people fill up bags of urine and throw them at you from the stands, and it's not a fun place to play. Now the game in Trinidad, if we go back to '89 when we played there, it was crazy. The whole stadium was red, and it was just a game that was so stressful and so intense that after the game, when everything was finally done, it was just we went to sleep. It was crazy, but there's no reason that this U.S. team should not have. They should have won the game, or at least go down there and get a tie. And I know that the field wasn't the best, but still, with the level of players we had and the level of team that Trinidad put on the field, there's no reason that we shouldn't have got a result down there. And so I'm really disappointed in that. But it was different times back in '89 when we played down there, and we were hungry, and that's one thing I didn't see from this team when they played there, and they didn't qualify. They just didn't seem like they were hungry, and we were hungry to keep our careers going, to keep the United States first time in the World Cup in 40 years. So it was a great honor for us, and it's just disappointing that they lost this game. Well, obviously, everybody is looking at Pulisic these days. I mean, he's one of the top players right now, and at only 20 years old, he's doing tremendous, especially in Dortmund right now. And there's teams that are wanting to buy him. I mean, he's the one that's really stood out to me. I thought Nagby did pretty well. I thought they struggled in the center back, and really all their defense. And so they've got to do some upgrades for this time now that we have between now and then the next starting for the World Cup qualifying. But there's a lot of good young kids out there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys do. Well, there's a lot of advantages in both. It just depends on the player. The players that go over to Europe have to have a strong mentality, because even though we have had a lot of American players over in Europe, they still see us as not being able to play at that level. And I think that the kids that are going over, like a Josh Sargent, he's going to go to Werder Bremen in January. He's got that mentality that he can make it over there, but it takes a special mentality. But then the guys that are doing, the young kids that are doing well in the MLS, we've got Tyler Adams at New York that he's got some playoff experience now that he just finished with the Red Bulls there. And he's up and coming. He actually got called up for the Portugal game too, and so it just depends on the player. But there's a ton of talent out there that are up and coming, and we're only going to get better as a country. That's a tough question because everybody's talking about they're proponents for it. There are people that don't want it in this country. It's tough because. It really comes down to money, and now if you look at it as if it's going to help, these kids get to that next level, it probably will, because then there's a lot of pressure on you to play well and keep your team in probably in the top league, which would be the MLS. But it's a big talking point right now, and I still don't see it happening within the United States within these next 10 years. Yeah, well, I think they're doing it right. They play in Portugal next Tuesday, and they have called up a young squad. There's some kids in there that I want to see. Obviously Pulisic, but he's not gonna play in the game, I don't believe. But there's a kid, Weston McKennie, that's playing in Schalke right now, and I scouted him years ago when he was with when he was with Dallas in their academy, and he's been starting for Schalke at times, and he's an up-and-coming kid. The other one I like is Josh Sargent. He played with the under-20s, the U17s in the World Cup this past summer. He's a St. Louis kid that plays with Scott Gallagher back in my old stomping grounds there, and I'm really interested to see how he does at a full national team level. He's going to Werder Bremen in January on a full contract, so he's only going to get better. I want to see Ethan Horvath on goal. He's a Real Colorado kid that's been over in Europe for a few years now, and hopefully he'll get the start against Portugal. But there are a lot of up-and-coming kids here, and they need to start planning for the next World Cup and get these guys experience, which I think they're going to do. And if they keep getting these guys experience, then I think we'll be fine in the qualifying for the 2022 World Cup. Well, for me, I attribute it to the academy set up in this country. I've been involved with it since 2011 and keep my hands in it now when I can, just to do the scouting for them and see how the teams and the players are progressing. And I think it's been helping us because most of those players from the U17s and the U20s. Most of those players had played within either an MLS academy or with another academy within the U.S. Soccer, and so it's only getting better. And I hope that we can keep getting those players into the U17s, U20s, and then onto the full national team. Well, for me, really the one right now is Josh Sargent. He's already signed the contract to go to Germany, and I think he'll do well over there. The other one, is Timothy Weah. He played well within the 17s this year. He's, George Weah's his son, and he's playing at PSG right now in France. But there's a ton of talent on those teams, and it's going to be interesting to see. And that's what those teams are for. Can the players from the U17 now make it to the U20s? Can those players from the U20s make it to the U23s and into the Olympic team? And can those players get to the full national team? So there's a big process there, but I think for the players in this country and the coaching in this country that they're doing a great job. Yeah, well, the youngsters in this country in the last 10 to 15 years, the player in the United States have gotten better, and that's attributed to the coaching in the United States. There are a lot more players within this last 20 years that have played at a high level that are now coaching the game. As previously, when I was growing up, it was like a dad down the street would coach, and we'd try to do the best stuff from there. But now there's a high level coaching in this country. The academies are doing a fantastic job with developing the kids and having them play at a high level. And with the more high level these kids are playing at, the better off they're going to be. Yeah, that's a big talking point on who's. There's a lot of guys that my ex teammates that are running now. For me, Sunil Gulati's done a great job in U.S. Soccer, and it's on the business side of it, he's done a great job. Now, can they maybe have a separate position that takes care of the soccer side of it? Maybe that's what some of these guys, like an Eric Ronaldo, Tony or. Whoever else is the other guys that I've been playing with are there. It's going to be interesting to see who wins this thing. But I think Sunil's done a great job, and I would want him to stay in there.